हरि ओम् वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Paramvedanta welcomes you all to session 15 for the study of Atma Bodha. We have come to the concluding part of Atma Bodha. In today's session, we are taking up verses from 60 to 64. Srimati Kirti, Dr. Chandrakala, and Srimati Soumya Nayak join me to explain the meaning of these verses. Last week, we discussed the verses from 56 to 59. Before Dr. Hegde sir introduces us to the day's topic, I request Dr. Anupama Shetty to refresh our understanding of these verses. Over to you, Anupama Madam.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Atma Bodha, a recap focusing on verses 56 to 59. Up till now, we have seen Adi Shankaracharya describe the sadhanas of Karma Yoga as Tapobhikshina Papanam, Shantanam, Vitaraginam, Mumukshunam, meaning the 4 Ds: discipline, discrimination, dispassion, and desire for moksha, followed by Shravana Manana Nididhyasana or Jnana Yoga. He had said that this Jnana Yoga or knowledge generates knowledge in the mind of the seeker over a period of time. He then described Jnana Phalam and Jnana Stuti. He had said Jnana Phalam or benefit of knowledge is Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukti is not being affected by Prarabdha, and Videha Mukti is freedom from Punarjanma. While describing Jnana Stuti, he had said that there is no other achievement in life as great as this Atma Bodha. Yel labhat na aparalabha, yet jnanat na aparam jneyam. The Shruti Pramana for this statement is Kenopanishad, which says human life is validated only if this knowledge is gained. Iha ched avedit atha satyam asti. If one knows that Brahman here in this world, then the purpose of life is gained. Na ched iha avedit mahati vinashti. If one does not know Brahman here, then very great is the destruction. So now I have the conviction that as Brahman, I'm Purnam or limitless. When I accept the body as an Atma, that is distinct from me, the Atma, its afflictions do not affect me. I am free from Anujvara, as we have seen in the Panchadashi, Tripti Deepa, Atmanam Ched Vijaniyat, Aham Asmi Iti Purusha, Kimichan Kasya Kamaya Shariram Anusanjvaret. Adi Shankaracharya asserts that this text is based on traditional teachings, Vedanta Sampradaya. Having originated from Chaturmukha Brahmaji, it is valid. How does Vedanta reveal Advayam Brahman? How is it possible to reveal the Paramarthika Brahman using Vyavaharika tools? Even in this Vyavaharika plane, is it possible to reveal taste with eyes or odor with ears? The technique that is used here is called Shabda Pramana, which is described as Atat Vyavritti Rupena Vedantaihi Lakshyate. Tat means Brahman. Atat means a Brahman or an Atma. Vyavritti Rupena means by the method of excluding. Vedantaihi means by the scriptures. Lakshyate means we get an implied meaning. Veda Pramana we know is Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pravritti Nimittani. The conditions needed for any sort of verbal revelation of information, in addition, of course, to a medium for conduction of sound, which is the air, the object to be described should have guna or property, kriya or function, jati, some universality. It should belong to some group. sambandha, a relationship, and rudi, it should be indriya gochara. An object can be verbally described only if it has some of these features. Brahman has none. It is avyapadeshyam. Therefore, we must acknowledge and truly appreciate that this Shabda Pramana is a wonder. The Guru who conveys this information is a greater wonder, and the greatest wonder is the Shishya who understands. Here in verses 56 and 57, which are Brahma Lakshana shlokas, we see Brahman is being described as Tiryak Urdvam Adaha Purnam Satchid Anandam Advayam Anantam Nityam Ekam Akhanda Anandam, etc. The words Advayam, Akhanda Anandam, and Ekam reveal that Brahman is Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Beda Rahitam. And scriptures reveal this Brahman by the method of Neti Neti, Atat Vyavritti Rupena Vedantaihi Lakshyate. So, Tat Brahmeti Avadharayet. What should we do? We should understand that this non-dual Akhanda Ananda Rupa Brahman, which is revealed as none other than me in all these scriptures, has to be comprehended by this technique, Vedantaihi Lakshyate. Instead of revealing the truth, Vedanta negates the false. Yam neti neti vachanaihi nigama avocha. This means a Brahma is eradicated, or a Brahma nisheda happens. We have to negate all experienced objects. What is left behind is a Sakshi as Advayam, the only source of Akhanda Ananda, or Brahma Ananda. So, right from Chaturmukha Brahmaji to everyone else, Brahma Dhyaya Akilaha, any experienced Ananda is only Pratibimba Ananda. And this Pratibimba Ananda is gained through mind manipulation, whereas Brahmananda is gained through the knowledge Aham Brahma Asmi. Akhanda Ananda or Bimbananda, we should know, is my essential nature. Whereas the experienced Ananda, the Pratibimba Ananda, has gradation, Taratamyam, which is a function of the mind, the variables being steadiness and purity of the mind. The impure mind is tamasic, the unsteady mind is rajasic. It is only in the sattvic mind that Pratibimba Ananda is experienced. This Pratibimba Ananda, we must remember, is just a figment, a lava of Bimba Ananda. Ananda lava ashritaha. So why seek this Pratibimba Ananda when this Bimba Ananda is me? I am Akhanda Ananda Rupa. This brings us to the story of the dog and the bone. A dog bites a sharp bone, inflicting injury on itself, and it bleeds. So what is the delusion of the dog? Before biting, there is no blood. After biting, there is blood. Therefore, bone is the source of juicy blood. Technically, all of us are delusional in this world. The truth being, every sensory joy only manifests my own Akhanda Ananda. So, do I have to go in search of this Akhanda Ananda or Bimba Ananda? No. Tad yuktam akhilam vastu vyavahara tad anvita tasmat sarvagatam brahma kshire sarpi hiva akhile. Akhilam vastuhu tatyuktam. Brahman pervades everything. Quoting Drik Drishya Viveka, Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama Chetyamsha Panchakam Adyatraya Brahma Rupam. Adyatraya being Asti Bhati Priyam, which belongs to Atma. Jagat Rupam Tatodvayam. The last two, Rupam and Nama, belong to Anatma. Message being, be aware that Asti Bhati Priyam exists in every Nama Rupa. That means every transaction is associated with Brahman. Bottom line being, Brahman is inherent in this entire creation, just as butter is in milk, and the process of extraction is Vedanta Vichara. Thank you.
Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Today's topic in the fundamentals of Vedanta is to understand what is this law of karma. In the last class, when we were talking about the benefit of knowledge, when you study Brahma Vidya, we get two benefits. One is called Jivan Mukti and the other is called Videha Mukti. When an ignorant person dies, he takes rebirth due to the law of karma. On the other hand, when a jnani dies, the sanchita has been destroyed, prarabdha is exhausted, agami is avoided, and there is no karma left. And therefore, for a jnani, there is no rebirth. Now, suddenly, a few new technical terms have come. What is sanchita? What is this law of karma? What is prarabdha? So the entire Tattva Bodha will conclude with this topic. What is this law of karma? Now, there is a distinction between the word karma, which means action, and the law of karma. The law of karma is the consequence of action. We have the saying, what we sow is what we reap. Therefore, once you become aware of the law of karma, these are the following rules. Be very conscious of every choice that we make every moment of our life. Why? Whatever is happening now is the result of the choices that I have made in the past, consciously or unconsciously. And what is true is every action has a consequence. Therefore, we must speak, we must think, and we must act awarefully because each of our actions has a consequence in the future. What is this cause and effect? Whenever we make any action, ask yourself this question. What is the consequence of the choice of this action that I'm going to make? Is it going to bring happiness to me and to all those around me? There is also a big question about why bad things happen to good people. It is very interesting to see the definition of good people and bad people. Strangely, we will see we and all our people are all good people and others are bad people. Now, when it comes to paying karmic debts, now this is a nice saying by Swami Anubhavananda. If you understand that I am responsible for whatever has happened in the past, my today is a product of all my actions done in the past, not only in the immediate past, maybe past lives, done consciously or unconsciously. And therefore, if I take responsibility and I don't blame anybody else, so just see the significance of this statement. Normally, we will say, what cannot be cured must be endured. Swami Anubhavananda makes a change. He says, what cannot be cured must be enjoyed. What else can we do? Can we see what is that I can learn from this experience? How can I make this experience useful for others? Somebody has very nicely said, when bad things happen to good people, they do not become bitter, they become better. Another nice saying is, when you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. And therefore, if you learn, even in a bad situation, you stand to win. Also, whenever we study the law of karma, there is a question that comes. Do I have a free will or am I a victim of fate? And as you listen to this presentation, I want you to be able to answer this question. Am I a victim of fate or do I have free will? What is the importance of the law of karma? Swamiji says this is one of the most important and unique Vedic laws. We have to see this topic. Do I have free will or am I a victim of fate? The law of karma will help me to understand meaning of suffering in me and others. Why is there so much disparity in the world? It helps me to come to a state of zero complaints because I accept my situation. I take responsibility for my present and also for my future. You will understand the significance of what is Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, the principle of rebirth, and how you can get freedom from the cycle of birth and death. So let us go into the law of karma. What are the principles of the law of karma? Every deliberate or willful action, that means any action consciously done. For example, if you are not aware, if it is unawarefully done, for example, in sleep, it is not considered as a willful action. Every willful action produces two forms of results or phalam. It is either a visible result or an invisible result. It is either drishta phala or adrishta phala. That means if I give a donation to somebody, what is visible? I have lost some money from my account and it has gone to somebody's account. This is the drishta part. What is adrishta? The adrishta is in what I don't see, but in my karmic account, there is a certain benefit for me. And the benefit is only two. Good actions produce punya, and punya produces happiness. Bad actions cause papam, and papam produce sorrow. This is the law of karma. Now, karma can be classified into three types. All the karmas in all my previous life, which have not been exhausted, but have been stored in a particular account, is called sanchita. The word sanchita means the accumulated karmas. A portion of this sanchita karma is being collected for my present life, and that is responsible for my present physical body, the family, the country I'm born in, and so on. And that karma which I use for this human life is called the prarabdha karma. In this life itself, I consciously do good and bad actions, and those actions are called agami karma. So my present life is a combination of prarabdha and agami. It is possible that some of my karmas may not be utilized in this life. Whatever is not utilized, it goes back into what we call the cloud data or the sanchita karma. So we have sanchita, the accumulated, the prarabdha, which determines my present life, the duration of my life, the quality of my life, and the karma that I do each day, and that is called agami karma. Why should we know the law, or what are the advantages of knowing the law of karma? The advantage is it will bring out some healthy attitudinal changes. It will answer the question, is life fair? If you look around, you see so much of disparity. Some people are born with great comfort. Some people have suffering right from the time of birth. So looking from the surface, it looks like life is unfair. But if you go by the law of karma, you will see why there is such a disparity. There is always a question of why me when I go through certain difficulties. The law of karma will explain that my present is because of my past karma. And therefore, I do not blame anybody. I take responsibility for my immediate and for past actions. An important index of a spiritual sadhaka is we should not blame anybody for whatever we are going through. Thirdly is faith in God. Supposing something goes wrong, in spite of all my prayer, there is a tendency to get upset with God. Now I know I am responsible. Therefore, a good God is a just God, and God does not interfere into his creation. Certainly, God observes everything, and God cannot be unjust. So there is no injustice in the world. I'm able to take responsibility for my future. As I already said, my future is dependent on my present action. And also, I will not be fatalistic. I will not say that I have no control on my life. I have absolute control to a large extent because my actions today will determine my future. Then comes the question, why do good people seem to be suffering and those who are corrupt and manipulative people seem to have a good time? The answer is this. The present ethical person is suffering because of past unethical actions. The current corrupt person enjoys because of past ethical actions. Therefore, the rule is this: ethical actions will bless a person, unethical actions will cause pain or papam. The next question is about what is this prarabdha karma, which we also call as my fate. My prarabdha karma, which is a combination of punya or papa, which comes with this birth, determines few things. It determines my birth date. It determines my date of death. It determines my place of birth, my gender, my family, my religion, my nationality, the type of body, my mind, my intellect, my vasanas, what type of programming, my conditioning, the type of teachers I will get, my parents, my religion, my government, and so on. So you will see Prarabdha Karma has determined, seemed to have determined the most important things in my life. So suddenly there is a feeling if everything is determined by your Prarabdha Karma, we also remember my Prarabdha is a consequence of my past also, and then therefore I am responsible. The Vedas, and one of the first topic we took in these fundamental topics are what is called Purushartha. Vedas talk of the Veda Purva and the Veda Anta to help us to achieve Artha, Dharma, Kama, and Moksha. All these Purusharthas are done by human effort. I should plan, I should do it. And therefore, all our accomplishments are based on certain choices that I made. So the Vedas clearly say the glory of being a human being is Purushartha, and no other being has the freedom to determine the type of goals that we have. So, in summary, what is this law of karma? The law of karma is a great Vedic law. It talks of two types of benefits for every action. One is drishta, or which is seen, the other is adrishta. Good actions produce punyam and happiness. Bad actions produce papa or sorrow. And therefore, knowing the law of karma brings about certain attitudinal changes. What is the attitudinal change? I stop blaming anybody for my life. I know about my sanchita karma. I know about prarabdha karma. I know about agami karma. And I know that once a person becomes a jnani, the sanchita is destroyed by the energy of jnanam. And such a person, because all the karma is destroyed, will have videha mukti and therefore will not have punarjanma. Therefore, all actions it is presently adrishtam, will become drishtam over a period of time. I would like to bring in two verses from the Bhagavad Gita. One is from the second chapter, a very beautiful verse, which says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha ube sukrute dushkrute. What does it mean? Buddhi yuktaha. Once you are anchored in spiritual knowledge about my true nature, I am not this body, I am not my mind. The body-mind has its own set of actions. I am Atma, Brahman. And therefore, when I see myself as Atma, my body does whatever the role it has to do. Suddenly, there is ube, both. I give up what? Sukrute and dushkrute. I have no longer claims on punya or papa. And such a person, buddhi yuktaha, A jnani will not incur punya or papa, even though he is active in this world and doing all forms of actions. Krishna says, Tasmad yogaya yujyasya yogaha karmasu kaushalam. That means real skill in action is how you do your actions without incurring punya or papa, simply by seeing I am not the one who's doing this action because I cannot do any actions. I, as Atma, am akarta and therefore a bhokta also. There is another beautiful verse from the 4th chapter which says, Jnana Agni. Knowledge is like Agni. Sarva karmani basmasat kurute tata. Just like radiation, that is ionizing radiation that is used to treat cancer, is so powerful it can destroy cancer cells. The spiritual knowledge, Jnana Agni, is so powerful it can destroy Sanchita Karma. Such a person, there is no Agami, and Prarabdha is exhausted without complaint simply because I disidentify with my body mind. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The opening speaker for today's Atma Bodha, verse 60, will be Kirti. Kirti, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Atma Bodha, verse 60. Ananuhu asthulam ahrasvam adhirgam ajam avyayam arupam aguna avarna anakhyam tad brahma iti avadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which is neither subtle nor gross, neither short nor long, without birth or change, without form or attributes, without caste, color, and name. In this verse, Adi Shankaracharya highlights Brahma Swarupam, into which Brahman, the Jivan Mukta, will merge using the language of the Neti Neti concept. This Atma Bodha verse 60 echoes what is described in the verse 3.8.8 from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. In the first line, Brahma Swarupam is addressed by the words Ananuhu Astulam Ahrasvam Adhirgam Ajam Avyayam. Ananuhu means not small or subtle. Astulam means not gross or big, neither subtle nor gross. Its dimensions in space cannot be located, limited, or defined, and is not visible or can be visualized. It is not available for objectification. In Vedanta, subtlety of a thing is measured by its pervasiveness, and the subtler is conceived as interior to the grosser and has control over gross. Therefore, the innermost self, the subtlest of the subtle, means it is all pervading. Ahrasvam means not short. Adhirgam means not long. Brahman cannot be called long or short because it is not in space. When it is not in space, how can one measure it and call it length, lesser or greater? So one cannot call Brahma Swarupam this measure or that measure. By this fourfold negation of size, all the characteristics of a substance are denied of it. It is immeasurable. It is devoid of all attributes. Then Ajam Avyayam. Ajam means unborn, unoriginated. Brahman is Agotram, unlineal, means without family origin, that is without root. Brahman existed before time was born. The first uncaused cause means a cause that has no apparent or antecedent cause. This Anadikarana, progenitor of all creation. Avyayam means unchanging, undecaying, imperishable, indestructible. Brahman neither exhausts itself and disappears, nor declines and disappears. It is free from decline and disappearance. It remains the same. This eternal immortal is that which has no end. And if it has no end, it should have no beginning also. Ajam Avyayam Swarupam of Brahman is explained in the Kathopanishad verse 1.2.18 Na jayate mriyate ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate. Then in the second line of verse 60, the words describing Brahma Swarupam are Arupa, Aguna, Avarna, Anakhyam. Arupam, free from rupa or form, or can be understood as colorless. Form and color are perceptions of the sense organs as an object. Brahman is not an object of perception. Aguna, Nirgunam, not bound by the qualities, meaning Brahman does not have even one of the properties recognizable by our sense organs like Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Kriya. It is also free from Sagunam and Durgunam. It is beyond Dharma or Adharma. It is Advayam, free from differentiations. Avarna. Varna distinguishes an object from one object from another. Here, Varna is not taken as color, but is taken as jati or caste. Brahman is beyond any Varna classification. Chaturvarnyam as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This distinction is based on mental and intellectual texture. The self, however, is beyond the mind and intellect. Anakhyam is nameless. Akhyam means name. Name is a form of speech or sound, and all corresponding objects are forms in the mind. So, Anakhyam means without a name and without a corresponding form in the mind. Therefore, Anakhyam indicates no words, no speech, soundlessness, that is silence. Therefore, there are no corresponding thoughts of form in the mind. Swami Paramarthananda says, soundlessness, silent state is likened to Amartas Chaturtaha, the fourth state of consciousness, Turiya, as described in the Mandukya Upanishad Mantra 12. This amarta corresponds to a state beyond the three states of consciousness, wherein Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna, represented by the audible syllables A, U, Ma, resolves into the fourth Turiya Atma, the soundless state of consciousness. Silence after A, U, Ma is the true self. This soundless state is the immanent and transcendental substratum of all illusory appearances. Swamiji also explains the purpose of the language of negation. Their usage implies everything in the relative field is this or that and neither this nor that. Brahma Swarupam is incomprehensible, suggesting stop this intellectual search and abide in the self. During meditation, it is in this silence where Namarupa sounds and mental forms cease to exist. The intellect abides in the self, the seeker. Meaning, realization that the seeker is the sought happens, Jivan Mukti. Then why do we call it by the name Brahman? Swami Paramarthananda says it is also adhyasam, superimposition. It is to be remembered that Brahman, the name itself, is mithya. Brahman is not mithya. And what is Satyam? Maunam Vyakya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattva, a verse from the Dakshinamurti Stotram, which means that the essential nature of pure Brahman is explained by silent exposition. And it is this Brahman into which the Jivan Mukta merges into. Thank you, sir. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Kirti madam, for a very nice explanation of this particular verse. Anu astulam. It is neither short nor long. It is neither born. It does not undergo any modification. There is no guna, no varna. It has no name. What are we talking about? We are talking about our true nature. So whenever we talk about Brahman, we have to convert Brahma Asti to Brahma Asmi. Whenever we are listening to the glory of Brahman in all these scriptural words, we have to sit and say, all that Kirti is talking about is all the listeners who are listening today, it is about our true nature. That is the mental conversion that all those few minutes that she spoke of is about our true nature, not about our body and mind, but our true nature. Verse 61 will be explained to us by Chandrakala. Dr. Chandrakala, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 61, verse goes like this. Yad pasa bhasyater kadi, bhashyar yattu bhasyate, ena sarvamidham bhati, tad brahmetya vadarayet. In this verse, subject matter Brahma Swarupam is continuing. What is Brahma Swarupam or Brahma Lakshanam? Here, Brahman is defined as svayam Prakasha rupah, means because of which everything shines and which does not shine because of anything else. Next slide, sir. Kathopanishad and Mundukopanishad say, Na tatra surya bhati, na chandra tarakam, nema vidyoti bhanti, kutoyam agnihi, tameva bhata manubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvaidam vibhati. Their sun does not shine, nor the moon, nor the stars. These lightning also does not shine. How can this earthly fire? Verily, everything shines after him, reflecting his glory. This whole world is illumined by his light. Come, now let us know the Vedic definition of light. In that, this light is that principle in whose presence things are recognized, known, and in whose absence things are not known. Gita says in verse 13 to 18, Brahman is the light of all lights and is beyond darkness, and it is the knowledge, the object of knowledge, seated in the heart of all to be reached by knowledge. Coming to the meaning of this verse, next slide, sir. Arka adi bhasate. So, sun, moon, stars, Agni, Vidyut, mind, and world are all illumined by light of consciousness alone. When mind is not lit by consciousness, whole world goes to unmanifest state. Yet bhasya, that is every light, is light because of consciousness. That consciousness you are. Bhashayar yattuna bhashyati. Consciousness illumines everything, but itself not illumined by anything. Then, how do you know conscious is there? Consciousness is there? Are you a conscious being or not? Conscious is there is not proved by sense organ or by thinking. It is evident, ever evident, changeless principle. No one doubt their existence. There is no proof required. Example, when I take a picture or a photo of myself, it is understood that camera is there, even though camera is not seen in the picture. Ena sarvam idam bhati, because of which consciousness, first mind is ignited through sense organs, then the entire universe is illumined. Let's take an example of sunlight and moonlight. Next slide, sir. Let's take an example of sun and moonlight. Sun so has original light. Moon has borrowed light. Sun illumines daytime, moon illumines nighttime. Sun has independent light and moon has dependent light. And sun is comparable to Atma, moon is comparable to mind and sense organs. Sun is called Jyotishyam Jyotihi. Moon, in the presence of Atma, mind and sense organs become Jyoti. Atma can illumine everything, but Atma can't be illumined by anything. Mind can illumine world, but can't illumine Atma. Similarly, sense organs can illumine sense objects, not Atma. Kathopanishad says, so in verse 4, chapter 1, Atma lends light to mind, but with borrowed light, mind illumines world. Credit goes to consciousness, which makes eyes to see, ear to hear, mind to think. I am that consciousness. May you ascertain it through Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So, the Tatu Brahma iti avadarayet. May you remember this fact in your mind day after day. That's all, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrakala, for a very nice explanation of another beautiful Atma Bodha verse, which talks exactly what that famous mantra which comes in many Upanishads, Mundaka, Kathopanishad, Shveta Upanishad, as well as in the Bhagavad Gita, Shvetashvara Upanishad. Now, just imagine the scene, and this is seemingly outrageous. All of us are standing very reverentially in front of a very sacred temple, let us say Tirupati, and the priest is doing a very special arati for us. So the the priest is doing the arati, and the mantra is na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yam agnihi tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. And you know what we are saying? It is not because of the sun or the moon or the stars or anything. It is because of the light of my consciousness that everything has come into being. Everything shines because of me. And that is what is told in Shravanam, Mananam, and what is understood when we are doing this arati. That is the extent to which Vedanta will lift a seeker to tell the greatness of this Atma Tattvam, that consciousness. Because of this consciousness, my body is existent and alive. Because of consciousness in me, the whole world has come into existence. These are mantras, avadharayet, for us to meditate and see the real significance of what it means to be I am Atma Brahma. I am that Brahman. Verse 62 is by Saumya Naik. Saumya Naik, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Svayamantarbahirvyapya bhasayannakhilam jagat brahma prakashate vahani prataptaya sapindavat. So, the idea of the previous shloka is presented here in a different form. That is, Chaitanyam alone illumines everything, either directly or indirectly. So in the next slide, we'll understand how does this Chaitanyam pervade. Whenever we say that a wall is seen, it means that it is pervaded by light. Similarly, when we say that we know an object, it indicates that the consciousness pervades it. So this consciousness pervades in two ways. In the case of mind and sense organs, it pervades it directly. That is why the mind is always known. The Sakshi Chaitanyam becomes the Antahakarana Chaitanyam. So what does this mean? It means that is the Sakshi Chaitanyam, that is the awareness or the consciousness becomes the Antahakarana Chaitanyam. Antahakarana means the internal organ. So Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, or translated to English, mind, intellect, memory, ego. Okay. So in Dakshinamurti Stotram, it says, Jnanam yasya tu chakshu radhikara. Na, so previous slide. Nadvara bahi spandate. When the mind goes, so the previous slide, when the mind goes to that object, through the mind, the Chaitanyam pervades the world. So, svayam antaha bahi cha vyapnoti. The Chaitanyam alone illumines the mind and the vrittis, even during the Sushupti Avastha. This Chaitanyam is called the Sakshi Chaitanyam. Once the Antakarana gets the Chaitanyam, it is capable of going out through the sense organs and illumining the external world. So when this Chaitanyam in the Antahakaranam goes out through the Pramanams and illumines the external world, the same Chaitanyam gets the name Pramatra Chaitanyam. So the Sakshi Chaitanyam directly illumines the Antahkaranam, and that is why it is ever illumined in all three avasthas. So, the Sakshi Chaitanyam directly pervades the mind and it indirectly pervades the world. Therefore, he says, Antarabhir Vyapya, that is pervading both within and without. So, next slide. Akhilam Jagat Bhashayan. It illumines the whole universe, the internal subjective universe, as well as the external objective universe. Thus, Brahma Prakashate, that is, Brahman shines. How do we know that? The very fact that the mind is known indicates the pervasion of Chaitanyam. Just like when the world is seen, it indicates that light is there throughout. So, in the next slide, let's have a look at the example that is given in this verse. Pratapta asaya pindavat. Like the red hot iron ball in the dark room, one cannot see an ordinary iron ball, right? But when this Agni or the fire principle pervades that iron ball, it becomes visible, it becomes red, and it becomes hot. That is because the heat pervades it. If we touch it, it will burn us. So, the existence of the Dahaka Shakti, that is the burning power, the light and the heat, is also because the Agni has pervaded it throughout. But do we see this Agni separately? No. Agni seems to be intrinsic to the iron ball. Because of the Agni Tattvam, we feel that it belongs to the iron ball. Similarly, the mind is known because of Chaitanyam alone, and Brahman is everywhere. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Soumya, for another nice explanation of another verse which is extraordinary. Extraordinary in the sense that in the last verse, which is an extension of the same Na Tatra Suryo Bhati, there you're doing an arati and telling the Lord, you are there because of me, I am giving existence to you. Although I'm doing namaskara to you, I'm doing namaskara to you because of this understanding that you have given me. There is a seeming Dvaita, but there is no Dvaita at all. What this verse is saying, you don't have to go to the temple. You look everywhere in the room that you are sitting in the computer that is, and remember that verse of the 7th chapter, verse 7, Mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana eva. The word Vishnu means that which is all pervasive. Now, who is all pervasive? Now, take the courage to say, I, as Atma, am all pervasive. Because of me as Atma, which has pervaded this whole room, this room has come into existence. Because of me as Atma, which has pervaded my mind, I know what is happening around. So I lend consciousness and life to this body. I lend existence to this body and to this whole world, believe it or not. This is what Vedanta says. We come to the last verse today, where there is a sort of a combination of all these things. Venkatesh, please.
Thank you, sir. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Jnana Phalam and Jnana Drishti. Verse 63 goes like this. Jagad Vilakshanam Brahma Brahmanonyanna Kinchana Brahmanyat Bhati Chen Mithya Yatha Marumarichika. Here, Shankaracharya points out the peculiar relationship between Satyam and Mithya. For example, the relationship between the rope and the snake. And what is the peculiar relationship? Next slide, sir. When we want to reveal the rope, we say rope, the Satyam, is different from snake, the Mithya. That is, the snake is temporary, rope is permanent. Snake is Karyam, the rope is Karanam. But once the rope has been revealed, we say rope is different from snake, all right. Whereas snake, the mithya vastu, is non-different from the rope, the satya. Why do we say so? Snake is not different from rope because snake does not have an existence different from rope. Bhinna satta abhavat. Whereas rope is different from snake. Why? Because rope has got a separate existence even without the snake, and the rope will exist. And so we say rope is different from snake, whereas snake is not different from rope. This is a peculiar relationship possible between rope and snake only, Satyam and Mithya only. As we go to next slide, sir. Between the two Satya Vastus, this will not hold good. Book is different from the tape recorder. Tape recorder is different from the book or not. Is there any doubt? No, because both have same degree of reality. Samana sattakaya madhye. Whereas when one is Satyam and the other is Mithya, we should say Satyam is different from Mithya, whereas Mithya is not different from Satyam because Mithya doesn't have a separate existence. The same is true between Karanam and Karyam because Karanam is Satyam, Karyam is Mithya. Therefore, we say Karanam is different from Karyam, but Karyam is not different from Karanam. Next slide, sir. That means what? Clay is different from part because even after the destruction of part, clay continues. But part is not different from clay. That is what he says here. Jagat vilakshanam Brahma. Brahman is different from the world. Whereas Brahmana anyat kinchana na asti. Whereas there is no world existing different from Brahman. Even in the resolution of the world, Brahman continues, but there is no world existing different from Brahman. How do we say so? I am seeing the world which is different from Brahman. He says, Brahma anyat bhati chet. If we experience something different from Brahman, it is mithya. So the idea is that other than rope, there is no snake at all. But if we experience a snake, it is only a mithya snake. Next slide, sir. Like Yatha Maru Marichika, in place of a mirage water in a desert, there is only dry land and dry sand. There is not even a drop of water. And if we see some water, it is Indrajalam, it is Maya Jalam, it is Maru Marichika Mithya. Next slide, sir. In the verses 63, 64, and 65, Shankara is administering dosages of his medicine to aspirants by three different types of doctors. Brahman is everywhere. This is the medicine he is giving to us, his patients. The first type of doctor. In verse 63, he administers the above medicine. He also tells us that if we do not see him everywhere, that is a disease in us. If we see anything other than Brahman, we are still sick. Here, this doctor gives the medicine and then feels his job is over. It is up to the patient to take it and cure himself. That is not the doctor's problem. Shankara Bhagavad Pada tells us about the other two types of doctors in the coming verses, which we'll study in our next class. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri Venkatesh Prasad, for another very nice explanation of a very difficult verse, very simply explained with nice examples. You will remember the first example of Natatra Suryo Bhati, where you are standing, all of us are standing in a holy place, Arati is going on, and you are telling the Lord, it is because of me I have given existence to you. Then you come to your room and say, because of me, this whole world has come into being. Now, we are in Advaita Vedanta. There are two things, me and the world, me and Bhagwan in the temple. How can we resolve? Now, is that God in the temple or is the world around me, which is real or I am real? Now, this is what this verse says. Whatever you experience with your mind and sense organs is of a lower order of reality, and it is mithya. The seer, the Atma, the one that is able to see, is Satyam. I alone am real. Everything else is mithya. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, Hegde sir, and all speakers of the day for a nice session. Thank you, friends, for your indulgence in this journey of Atma Bodha. Coming Monday on 24th March 2025, let's tune in for session 71 of Gift at 6:45 p.m. to study verses 1 to 5 of 13th chapter. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.